A few weeks ago, I read this quote: God will meet you where you are in order to take you where he wants you to go. And that's exactly what God did with me. I'm Urial Alcivar, born and raised in Mexico City. I came to study at Calvin Theological Seminary in August 2020. But how did I end up in Grand Rapids? I can only say it was God at work. In the year 2010, just a few months after marrying my wife, who also came to study at Calvin Theological Seminary in the year 2008, with an amazing story of God's provision, I started getting involved in youth ministry. Initially, I was more of a support for her because I was the one responsible for working and paying the bills in our family. As I walked alongside the members of the youth group that we led, I realized that discipleship and mentoring were the ways in which God was calling me to receive formal training in this area, pastoral care. I began searching for seminaries in Mexico that offered training in this field, but unfortunately, I could not find any. That's when my wife suggested, "Why don't we look into Calvin?" My response was, "No." That will be impossible. Now we are a family of 4, and we have just enough to get by from day to day. Of course, we could not afford an education like that. However, God placed that desire in my heart, and together we began to pray. The desire continued to grow, but so did the challenges. Looking back, I can now see that God was testing my calling and my faith. Knowing that I will have the opportunity to study with excellent professors and alongside students from different countries encouraged me to proceed with the application process. I submitted my application and I was admitted to the Master's in Arts program with an emphasis in pastoral care. One thing I will never forget is the day that I received a white envelope with the Calvin logo at my home in Mexico. I opened the envelope and I started reading the letter. But what stands out vividly in my memory is the paragraph that said, "I'm excited to inform you that you will be awarded a scholarship per academic year from Calvin Theological Seminary to study as a full-time student." Wow. God was inviting me to be a full-time student, and he will take care of the rest. It wasn't easy. I arrived in August 2020 in the midst of the pandemic when we all wore masks. Understanding conversations was quite challenging. However, God granted me the ability to persevere through those difficulties. And my teachers and fellow students the grace to understand my words in my less than perfect English. On the other hand, studying at Calvin opened the doors for me to receive a world-class education, where I could share classes with peers from countries like China, Singapore, Myanmar, Korea, Nigeria, Canada, Argentina, and of course, the United States. Not only that, but it also provided me with the opportunity to share our lives day by day with classmates from Cuba, Brazil, Kenya, South Africa, Ukraine, Japan, and India. I refer to this as the hidden curriculum, where I was trained, challenged, and especially encouraged in the process of discerning God's will for us as a family and confirming our calling to global missions. Now, along with my family, I am preparing to go to Belgium to provide pastoral care to refugees arriving from different parts of the world. My entire experience at CTS has equipped me to share the gospel, disciple, strengthen, and walk alongside these refugees, immigrants, and the local people in the city I am going to on their journey of faith. Thanks to the generous investment that you make, people like me, who come from countries where this education is out of reach, You are making it possible. You are accepting God's invitation to participate in the building of his kingdom. You are contributing to the work that God is already doing through his entire church, and in particular, through some of us who have felt the call to be lead pastors, professors in seminaries, youth pastors, chaplains, or in my case, missionaries. Thank you very much for your support. God has called us, all of us, not only us as students, but also you. Without having known us beforehand, you have opened your hearts and resources to advance the kingdom of God. The investment you have made is bearing fruit already, and will continue to bear fruit in the future as generations hear and will keep hearing the gospel thanks to the training ministry that CTS provides. Thank you very much.